Okay, it looks like that's live. Sorry, I've got to look on the other screen. Trying to have two screens up for this live. That's if anybody's on here. It's a Wednesday, so weekday, people are probably getting ready for bed, I assume. I'll leave that for later. I'll come to that. Where's my little list? Little list of things to run through in tonight's live. For anybody that's here, what are we, 7:30? Nearly 7:29. It's my phone. Hopefully, or maybe, I don't think it'll be another 3.5 hour live like Monday night was. All right, cool. 7:30. Welcome back, everybody. Kia ora, g'day. First up, shout out to Charlie29, one of the kind supporters of my little space here in this channel. He popped around this morning while I was in the middle of doing some warming up for some training. And he came to drop me off a raspberry cream bun donut thing. So thank you very much, bro, for trying to start off my day with a load of sugar. I ended up having it probably around about 2:45 with a hot Milo. So yeah, it was nice. So thank you very much for coming around. It was unannounced and a nice surprise. So I did eat that today and I did enjoy it. I did offer to share half of it with my son. He said he was fine, so I ate the whole lot. Where are we? I'm going to share a video link. Oh, actually, let me just see. Just checking this other screen. Oh, there is somebody on here. Evening, Vanilla Butcher, DMC, Palmy, Jason C, cooking dinner in Oz. Hey, bro, what are you cooking? What is it you're cooking over there in Oz? If you get a chance, when you get time, if you're not too busy, don't burn yourself. Where are we? Where's this little video? Got sent this video. Dun, dun, dun. This freedom of speech is gone. So let me open that up first. Let me hit pause, turn the volume up, share the, oh, I've got to share the screen, that's right. Let's have a look at this first, and then I've got a couple of things I'll dig into, and we'll see where we go from there. Instagram. Here it is. Check this out. This free speech gone in Australia.
This man has been granted bail after allegedly attacking a member of parliament on social media through a string of offensive posts. Police have been investigating the man and his social media activity since June. They searched a house in Woolgoolga yesterday, seizing a mobile phone as evidence.
So has he been saying some hurty words to whoever this member of parliament is? It's not directed towards Andrew Wasty, is it? Bloody hell.
The man has been charged with using a carriage service to menace, harass, or cause offence.
Using a carriage service to menace, harass, or cause offence. Wow. Under the Criminal Code Act. Is Australia just ending up going to be like the UK? Anybody says mean words about a politician who rightly should be scrutinised, I think that might even be in this little write-up here without reading through all of that. No, anyway, maybe it's somewhere in there. You know, they want to go and be these public figures and work supposedly, presumably in the best interest of the people, of the community, then they should be subject to scrutiny, right? And if they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, you know, people are going to get upset and they're going to say things. And apparently there's freedom of speech, but it doesn't seem like it just listening to this.
Offense. The 53-year-old man has been granted bail after allegedly attacking.
Okay, yeah, so that's that one. We'll stop sharing that. But pretty rubbish, eh? Let's just hit pause on there. Where are we? Teriyaki sauce. Cooking dinner and I was chicken stir fry teriyaki sauce. Vanilla Butcher, I had a double down from KFC. A double down. Is that like a combo, is it? Double down KFC? I have no idea. Not up to date with the latest orders or combinations or whatever they're called from KFC. I'll eat KFC though. Where are we? Let's close that. So that's that little, freedom of speech. What's going on here? Is it just a matter of time before this hits NZ? Is that already here? Like, do I have to start being careful about what I say on my social media because it might offend, what's his name? Shane Jones, as an example, with one of the reactions that I did on that fella. I would imagine my filter may become less and less with regards to calling individuals out, and it may even affect my ability to travel to and from and or in and out of Australia, of which I'm a citizen. So yeah, who knows, man. Albo might not take too kindly to some of the comments and reactions that I've done. It's sad though. One of the guys that I'm in communication over there, but yeah, it just seems like the consensus feels like One Nation will likely never get in. Labour will win, Albo will win. Every single Indian he is flooding the country with votes Labour, and we're trucked. There's this Albanese is raiding your super and has banned you from buying a self-managed super fund home. Wow. There's a whole bunch of stuff happening. First home buyer ads targeting foreigners in Arabic and Mandarin. Holy heck. It's just a bit of a shambles over there at the moment as I look at some of those things that I receive. But I won't delve into all of that. I'll answer this one before I get in probably to the last couple of things, which are on here, maybe three things, depending on how we go. This one is a question that's come through in one of my YouTube videos. Do you take supplement in one of the SAS series videos? Do you take any supplements as part of your training for recovery or anything? I've been asked that question heaps of times. If so, what would you recommend? So no, I don't. Actually, I have taken and used collagen. Marine collagen is the one. I wish I still had the Blinken container here. And in the past, from time to time, like I've used the protein, like just a standard Musashi chocolate flavor or vanilla flavor protein powder. I've never used it consistently, so that's probably why I don't see any changes, sort of thing. I think I've done it just for something for a taste, something sweet to have as part of like a milkshake. I'll have that and I'll chuck ice cream and full fat milk in it. I don't know if that's how you're supposed to have it, but it tastes bloody good. So I've had that in the past. Can't say I've had any of that sort of stuff for a while. Aside from that, I received those lemon and lime electrolytes from Cameron Holmes, Layers with Cam, podcast host on YouTube and Instagram, TikTok, and Spotify. So check him out if you haven't already. He brought me a bag of that before we did our walk and talk, and that's quite nice. It's still pretty full. I've only had one bottle of it so far. So I think it was a 700ml bottle, and I can't remember what it was, but I think I put 3 scoops in to that 700ml bottle, shook it around, tasted nice. But otherwise, it's still just sitting on the shelf in the kitchen area. So yeah, what would I recommend? I'd recommend whatever you feel like you need, bro, or speak with somebody that's got more experience than me with it, and or just get it something that tastes nice. If yeah, depending on what your goals are, I suppose, look into it and go for it. But I would say there's plenty of other people with much more experience and better guidance and advice than I can give you when it comes to supplements or things like that. Also, have you seen the New Zealand muscle fiasco? Would you do a reaction to that? Funnily enough, bro, I saw that pop up. I did click on it and saved it to my watch later to do a reaction. Then I've seen some little reels or stories or whatever popping up on my Instagram with, I think, people that have done the investigation, and the Blinken rock show fiasco is a good way of describing it. That has happened there in that space, and just, yeah, pretty poor. So New Zealand Muscle, as far as I'm aware, is a pretty big, popular brand. Maybe not so popular now. And then I hear and see Dave Latelli, the brown butter bean, I think. Seems like a guy that does a lot of stuff within the community. He's got a bit of a interesting story and journey, as everybody does, overcoming some hardships and things like that to get to the position and stuff that he's in now. But I think he's the CEO now, which is interesting. So, but anyway, take on new things, step outside your comfort zone, all that sort of thing. And he's going to look to try to right the ship, so to speak. So yeah, I have got that down. I'll probably obviously find out more as I go into it, but I have seen these little snippets and stuff coming up. Some what's his name? Yak Attack or something as well. Quite a big, solid dude. Yeah, he just ripped straight in. So I started following that guy. Talk about unfiltered. He's just into it. But from the bits and pieces that I've heard, like he's just speaking what's in here for him and what's up here, and sounds honest and genuine to me when I've heard him speak. So have at it, I reckon. So there's that one. Now David McBride. So I received. Oh, sorry. Let me look. Tēnā koe Joe. Double down is chicken, cheese, bacon, and nothing else. Oh, okay. Cheers, Dave. Chicken, cheese, bacon, and nothing else. Chicken, cheese, bacon, and nothing else. So no veggies, no nothing else. Cool. Thank you for that. What's this? Real deal. Haha. Hey, Joe, any news back on the update of your... You're right, bro. I haven't. I looked at the the back end, the content in the studio is the word I was looking for. And I can see I've got a part 6 in there for the cycle. But when I've clicked into part 6, even that doesn't finish off. Even that doesn't finish off the rest of that series. So I will be getting to that. Yeah, I've added that. I've put that back into my list of the reactions. So apologies for that. I'll get to that as soon as I can. Can't promise when, because there's just a whole bunch of stuff that's coming in at the moment, but I will get it done. So thank you for following up. Thanks for stopping by here, even if it was just to ask that question. So hopefully you've got the answer. My apologies. I'll get that one done. Vanilla Butcher, recommend you don't eat a double down, though. Not good for your training. Down is chicken, cheese, bacon. It sounds good. Sounds good. Where are we? Oh, here he is. Craig May. This is Albo's Thought Police. Special task force like Karl Marx grave. Just another communist plot. No joke. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there, eh? Pauline will have you back. Hey, I might even volunteer to do, like, oh, does she need anything looked at security wise or whatever? Like, I don't know. I don't know her, but it seems like if I was going to vote, if I was back in Australia, I would vote, and I'd be voting for One Nation right now, based on what I've been seeing and hearing. Labor sucks. Liberals suck just as much. And One Nation, she seems to be doing her damnedest to get, to bring to the attention of the Australian people just the bloody rock show that Labor is over there. So anyway, Pauline, have you back my gut? If One Nation doesn't get in, they'll have enough seats to help create change. I hope so. Jeffrey Dawson, what was your highest rank before it pointless, or did they give your rank after hard bloody work? Not saying private is low. It is low, in my view. Trucking amazing to get an SAS as a private. Yeah, so trooper. Before that, I was a lance corporal in the battalion, but I think that was only given to me. So I hadn't done juniors. I hadn't done a junior NCO course or a subject 1 for corporal, like in Australia. Actually, I don't know why it was given to me. So I got back to battalion. Don't know how long after, then I was promoted to Lance Corporal, acting as a section commander. So when some new recruits and stuff, well, not new recruits, new corps trainees got to battalion, I was then put in as a section commander for a period of time, and then obviously go to Australia and start again, private, go to the regiment, and I reached the dizzying heights of trooper, aka private. Where are we? Good coffee. Kia ora, bro. Just dropped by to say bring back Buck for the ABs. Yep, I remember those sayings growing up. Bring back Buck. Sup, Joe. Talk 5018 and good coffee. Thank you for stopping by to share that bring back Buck message. Ordered you some Gravy Seal hair gel today. I don't know if I need it, bros. But thank you. Talk 50. Be Pauline's personal trainer, bro. Shubs live. Hey, kōrero, brother. Kia ora, Shubs. Good to see you, bro. Again, well, not see you, but I see you've dropped in online. Appreciated our time today as well. Thank you for giving me some time and space on your show, on Radio Aotearoa. So those that don't know, go over and check out Shubs, support that fella in Radio Aotearoa. And if you've got some stories in kōrero that you want to share as well, hit that fella up, spam his email. He gets plenty of emails anyway, but he'll look to make time for you where he can. Where are we? Real Deal was binge watching your reactions to the NZSA cycle, and you've planted a seed in my head of where I want to be heading. Just a 17-year-old on his last year of school. Appreciate it, legend. Oh, wow, 17. That's cool, man. I'm like, it's cool to hear that those guys, people in that space, like, I think I would have been the same as you if I had access to something like this in my time growing up. Yeah, it definitely would have been inspiring for me. So, seeing those guys, if what they've been doing and what they've achieved and that sort of thing, if what you're seeing them do inspires you, then that's awesome. That's a cool thing. So yeah, wishing you all the best in that space, Jeffrey Dawson. Sorry, I will get to the McBride stuff, but just I usually don't respond to any of the comments till at the end, so I'm just trying to get to these this time. Jeffrey Dawson, did the Army ever give you rank after being an SAS from private? Ever give you rank after being an SAS from private? Wow, question mark. Nope, not for me anyway. A cookmate of mine tried but was encouraged to become an officer first. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, Willie Apiata is probably the only one NZ, Willie Apiata VC here in NZ is probably the only one that I know of that's received rank after being in the unit. He's retired now, but he's received the rank of WO1, I'm pretty sure. So Warrant Officer Class 1. Yeah, and so whether that's an honorary rank or whatever the case might be, but he was a corporal, obviously, as well. So he was a corporal in the group or in the regiment before he got out. And then I believe he received this WO1 rank maybe this year or maybe late last year, something like that. But no, I definitely didn't receive any rank after. Up the One Nation, yeah, hard out, Shubs. And there, as well, some of you may or may not know, Shubs has interviewed Auntie Pauline, so he'll probably interview her again several other times, and hopefully next time Shubs is interviewing her, or hopefully before then as well. But one of the future times when Shubs may interview her, she may be Prime Minister for Australia. Fingers crossed, hopefully, But the blinking, what is it? The Fabian Society or whatever it is, their mascot or their coat of arms or whatever is a wolf dressed in sheep's clothing. And that's what Albo and Penny Wong and all those other blinking, a whole bunch of those other Labour twats with the queer Starmer and all those clowns over in the UK are a part of, apparently. Anyway, well, sounds like you played them as much as they played you. Yeah, probably. I don't know how I played them, though. If you mean by not getting promoted, then yeah, like maybe, but yeah, shout the bro Shubs, love it is awesome at Talk 5018. It's a cool little shout out there to the Shubs. Carlo Parks, Chujo. Kia ora, bro. Cool. I think I got through those surprisingly. Let's jump into this David McBride. So I received a message on Instagram. Won't give out the guy's handle. It's obviously publicly available to Shelley. So he's maybe will serve as a summary, and maybe later on I might go through it, some specific parts in a bit more detail, or maybe I'll go to a couple of those tonight when I share the screen. So person sent through here in regards to David McBride. I believe he's still in prison at the moment and potentially will be up for parole or eligible to submit for parole next month, I think. Anyway, hey mate, have a look at paragraph 60 to 66 or 66. I think Australians just like sending me numbers with 6 in it. So you notice it's got paragraphs 60, 60, and 66. 66 of this judgment. The case is about a legal officer who leaked defence documents to the media. If you compare the date of the incident in paragraph 66, the most likely person who was investigated for the war crime of murder was federal MP and witness against BRS, Andrew Wastie. You can go through every media report, 60 Minutes episode, and look and book that refers to the incident. Not a single one includes this detail. Been trying to find someone with a bit of a platform to look into it. Short version, this is a reply they sent me after, so I thanked this person for sending it through to me. Short version to save you reading the entire judgment. So this is the judge's sentencing notes, I think it is. This guy leaked info to a journalist, David McBride, that is, named Chris Masters. As I've had a read so far, so I think there's 50 something pages. I think I've read about 27, 28, which is a miracle for me. Anyway, to Chris Masters, then to another named Dan Oakes. I think there was another journalist in there as well, somewhere between. So I think it was Chris Masters and another one, then Dan Oakes. Both journalists were the ones who wrote the articles. So these two, Masters and Oakes, were the ones who wrote the articles accusing RS of war crimes. And coincidentally, Andrew Hastie's war crimes investigation never made it to print. So the parts that I have read so far, let me just, maybe let's go here and look to share the screen again. Oh, sorry, two other messages. Fabian Society, an ancient socialist club in the UK. Okay, thank you, Jeffrey Dawson. And then I think the other one, the newest one, but it's not staying up there, is from Dan. It's checking in, saying hello. Hey guys, hi Joe. Kia ora, Dan. Good to see you, bro. Where are we? Share screen. Share McBride. Let's do this. Let's see how that goes. All right, cool. So some of the from the facts, like this from page 7, because there's a whole bunch of other stuff which is just a bit of history about his career path and that sort of thing. So won't worry about going through that. And what is it? So Supreme Court of the Australian Capital Territory. Let's scroll down here. Where was I? Part 7, page 7. Oh, bloody hell. Etamin. Which page are you up to? Oh, here we go, facts. So in here, the facts are set out in an agreed statement of facts. The agreed statement of facts contains 138 paragraphs and has 4 annexures, totaling 108 pages. The agreed statement of facts sets out in substantial detail what happened. The annexures shed light on Mr. McBride's motivations for doing what he did. The following description of the events giving rise to the charges largely reflects the facts upon which the parties have expressly agreed. So in summary, from what I have read so far, it appears to me as I read this document that David McBride, and there's an interview with him, I think it's ABC again, so whether or not you want to watch it's up to you, but it's about 8 or 9 minutes or whatever. It seems like David McBride's intentions in terms of what he was looking to whistleblow on, so he was going through the IGATF, the, what is it, International or Inspector General of the Australian Defence Force, Inspectorate or Inspector General of the Australian Defence Force, something like that. IGATF anyway. He's going through those processes. He had a leader before that, and he was, it appears like from what I've read, he had concerns that military police and potentially going into civil police investigations into SOTG operations, so Special Operations Task Groups operations that were happening in Afghanistan. Like there was, it seemed like he must have felt like there was some overreach there. Like they shouldn't have been and didn't need to be investigating operations and or indeed soldiers that were involved in Special Operation Task Group activities in Afghanistan during those periods of time. And he was making that aware, saying also that there appeared to be, and there's stuff in this document, so you can just do a Google search for it and whatever for yourself and have a read of it. He was saying that he felt that there were soldiers being unfairly investigated due to their service at that time. So without reading through all of this, that's the sort of the gist that I was getting from this. Obviously, there's a lot more clarity and stuff in this as you read it. And if you want to go through and read it, here is, so this Mr. McBride is maybe where it's giving the breakdown of his progression and his career progression and the rank structure and all that sort of thing in terms of promotions, etc. So promoted in paragraph 18 to the rank of major, transferred from the Army Reserve. So I think he was a captain before that, etc., etc. So it rolls on down. I'm not going to read through all those. Background security. So government security classification, and the little acronym there to the Commonwealth records the 4 levels of national security classification: protected, confidential, secret, and top secret. So he obviously had access to all of those levels. And then you've got here, it's got caveats in that as well in paragraph 31. Security classifications, there are other classifications referred to as caveats. So osteo, Australian, eyes only, we've got here, and then it's got limdist, so limited distribution, and in the definitions for those there. So you can read through that. He's got here, he also conducted on basically what we would call ongoing training for security awareness training on 5 occasions, and it's got the dates there. So, you know, he did plead guilty. Long story short, he did plead guilty to 3 charges, one of theft and disclosure of information, which potentially puts at risk, you know, military, national security of Australia, et cetera. But his intentions around what he was looking to do, at least from what I've read so far, I haven't finished reading all of it, appears to be he was trying to bring to light and trying to stop the investigations into soldiers that had been deployed on operations, on special operations task groups or SOTGs jobs, because he didn't feel that those things needed to be happening based on the ROEs that they were operating under, and based on the work part of his role being there and overseeing some of the legalities and briefing soldiers, reminding them of their roles and responsibilities, and also in accordance with the rules of engagement which they were operating under. I did read in here as well, there were, oh, here it is here, ROE amplification. So on 21st December 2012, members of the Special Forces Command were involved in drafting the ROE amplification. To me, that means increasing something, amplifying it. Now, whether that means that this is, I don't know if this is talking about ROE 429 Alpha, that offensive ROE that Scott Jones has done a great job of explaining on Sam Bamford's Two Worlds Collide podcast. I don't know if this ROE amp is what that's talking about. It could be. This was a classification of the meaning of the existing ROE. So where are we? Just looking at, again, to try to skim through some of this stuff. So David McBride had 2 deployments to Afghanistan from what I've read in here. And here we go. In and around April 2013, Mr. McBride expressed concern to his supervisor about whether the military police had jurisdiction, so I'm reading paragraph 36, had jurisdiction to commence investigations into matters in theatre in the absence of a reasonable suspicion that a crime had been committed. So from Mr. McBride's position, who was a lawyer in the military at the time and at the rank of major, I assume at this time, he had concerns, and he expressed those to his higher up, to his boss, in and around military police. You know, did they have jurisdiction to be commencing these investigations in the absence of reasonable suspicion that a crime had been committed? So my non-legal brain, like I'm not a lawyer, but as I read that, and as I read that, to me, it's like David McBride is saying, there's no reasonable suspicion, or there's no, rationale to be looking into conducting an investigation of war crimes, because according to him, this is my take, David McBride, there isn't any. So stop it, in other words. Like, stop investigating. Like, what are you doing? And he's raised it to his superior. So cool, to his supervisor. His supervisor did not regard it as necessary or appropriate to pursue the matter further, because she was aware from a discussion with the chief joint operations, I think, and another officer, that they were aware of a disagreement between deployed forces and military police regarding the circumstances under which military police had a right to ask questions about operational incidents. So that's news to me. Like, I'm not sure why and or how that came about. The military police coming in and then asking questions or pulling operators to the side and then conducting investigations and or, dare I say, interrogations. There is parts in here, I can't remember exactly where they talk about military police seizing the weapons of soldiers, even after they had already been cleaned and all that sort of stuff. But for, I assume, forensic testing in terms of use on what I presume to be combatants and things like that. There's information and stuff in here, if you read it, in and around statements provided by soldiers at the time, whereby they were in a bit of a wrestle, it sounds like, with initially detained Afghan personnel, or maybe they weren't detained. I think I did read some were detained, and those detainees, with their hands free, tried to wrestle the weapon from the operator. The operator managed to retain the weapon, which is some of the training that you get, and then put the detainee down, or I suppose they're not a detainee at that time if their hands are free and they've been wrestling with the weapon. That's some of the stuff that's in here. I was like, oh man, like stuff that I just didn't know, because I hadn't gone hunting, searching, or digging into it. I'm lucky enough that people are kind enough to send through some stuff to me like this. Anyway, so I read that. In late 2013, while deployed in Afghanistan, Mr. McBride advised 4 ADF members of an issue that he was having with another more senior ADF officer. His concern related to search warrants obtained by military police of the Australian Defence Force Investigative Service. So ADFIS, in relation to the SOTG, Mr. McBride believed that the SOTG should not be subject to such action. So that's why I was talking about that summary earlier. Anyway, there's a whole bunch of stuff in here. I'm not going to carry on reading through that. I want to skip down to complaint to AFP. Yeah, there's stuff that maybe this part here, complaint to AFP. On the 14th of May, 2014, the day after his initial submission to the IGATF, see 51 below, so we'll get to that, Mr. McBride accessed the AFP website to report a crime. He submitted a document entitled Notification of Potential Improper Conduct by Senior Defence Officers. So one thing, I didn't know about any of this until I've read this. One thing that has always stuck out to me about the whole RS, Oliver Schultz, this whole investigation, is you can't tell me that senior leaders somewhere in the pipeline of Special Operations Command, whether it's SOTG or then whatever it became known as later on as time went by, and different operation names from Anaconda to OpSlipper to whatever else was used in operations that were being conducted, you can't tell me that other senior leaders above the rank of the dizzying heights of corporal and or sergeant, if these allegations are true, didn't know. Like, that just doesn't make sense. If the allegations are true, then other leaders within the regiment, within the units, must have known. You can't tell me they didn't know. And if they didn't know, then they should still be held to task, because what are you doing? You're just letting troopers and corporals and sergeants run their own show, run their own target sets, get their own intelligence, and then sift through and deem which ones they're going to do and not do. Like, that's just not how it works. So here, David McBride has submitted a document entitled Notification of Potential Improper Conduct by Senior Defence Officers and the Defence Force Investigation Service. So he's going after them as well. In the document, which was not tendered for the purposes of the sentencing hearing, Mr. McBride outlined that the following offences may have occurred. So he's saying may have occurred, but this is what he's outlined. A, conspiracy to pervert the course of justice. Sounds like there could be a conspiracy there. I don't know when this is submitted. I assume this is done before the Brereton report. That's my assumption, but I could be wrong. But it's interesting to me that the Brereton report exempts officers from a certain level up, and that they don't need to be investigated. That just seems like a crock of you know what. Anyway, that's the first one. Conspiracy to pervert the course of justice. B, misuse of Commonwealth resources. C, interference with a legal officer performing their duty, of which I assume he may be talking about himself, like he was one of the legal officers. D, failure to comply with a general order. And E, improperly prejudicing ADF members' careers. So some hearty claims and stuff in there in terms of what he's proposing and putting forward at this stage, as I mentioned, and I think as I read to the AFP. So reporting a crime. Where are we? So I won't worry about reading through that. It goes through some stuff. Let's get down to this one. So point 51, I think, was one of the reference points up there. Mr. McBride's complaint to the IGATF. Mr. McBride used the documents he removed from the Australian Defence Force facilities illegally to prepare various complaints about practices within the ADF. On the 13th of May 2014, the day before he used the AFP website to report a crime, he sent a submission to the IGATF enclosing two individual submissions relating to military justice. The first submission was entitled Individual Submission for IGATF on the Investigation of Serious Incident Occurring on Operations. It was one page long and contained 4 numbered paragraphs. It asserted that the current ADF policy resulted in the commencement of discipline investigations in contravention of Australian law and ADF policy. So to me, it sounds like you're saying these commencement of discipline investigations investigations which go against the Australian law and a policy. It indicated that he would supply detailed reasoning and evidence upon request. So hence why I guess it's a one-pager, a few bullet points. I can provide more information if required. It indicated that his superiors were aware of him having made the individual submission and had neither discouraged nor endorsed it. Interesting. The second submission was entitled Individual Submission for IGATF on Improper Discrimination in the ADF. It was also one page long. The submission asserted that Army through DocM, I think, don't quote me on this, but I did a little search because I wasn't sure what that stood for. Where are we? McBride. Pregnant pause. Where is it? Director of Officer Career Management. Maybe that's what it stands for. Could be wrong, but anyway, let's come back. One page of the submission. Director of Officer Career Management are using illegal / or improper process to select officers for promotion at Australian Command and Staff College, an elite professional military education course for mid-career officers that is highly competitive and crucial for future promotion to senior ranks. Anyway, so he's put that in there. The same day that he sent the submission to the IGATF, an officer responsible for investigations within the office of the IGATF asked Mr. McBride to provide the relevant evidentiary materials so as to enable a proper preliminary assessment of the matters raised. So anyway, it's got some information there, corresponded, included 3-lever arch files, etc. So this is basically McBride providing information. And what else have we got here? IGATF submission. Here we go. So this part here, and one of the summary bits that I read out from the person that sent through this to me, saying that he was looking for somebody with a little bit of a platform who might go into it. Like I said, if people have got information like, and they want to send it, I'll go into it. I'll have a look. It's just like the reaction videos. I've got no problem doing reactions. As difficult and or as hard as they may be to watch, like doing the reaction to the Four Corners one where it appears to be Oliver Schultz shooting that guy in the field. It was a hard watch for me personally, but I'm not going to go, no, I'm not reacting to that because it's the regiment and I don't want the reputation to be tarred or anything like that. I think there's been a lot of damage done to the regiment already anyway, just with regards to what's been happening. But what I do know is that there's still a heck of a lot of people that want to go and serve there and I think by and large, the vast majority that want to go there for the right reasons. So I don't think that's going to change. Anyway, back to here. IGATF submission was entitled Detailed Information Relating to the Allegations of Illegal Investigations of Special Operations Task Group in 2013. So relating to the allegations of illegal investigations of Special Operations Task Group, so the SOTG in 2013. The summary at the commencement of the submission was as follows. In the following 5 cases revealed under the protections provided by reference A, I believe there was an absence of the reasonable suspicion necessary to commence a criminal investigation in accordance with reference B, that's the IWA. So just listen to that again. But this is from a lawyer, David McBride, who's, as I gave a bit of a summary, appears to be trying to put forward and letting his leaders know, hey, what are we investigating these soldiers for? There's no reasonable suspicion to be looking into these things. We've got the patrol report, we've got the debriefings, we've heard from the patrol commanders, other members that were there, we've heard from the soldier themselves. Why are we doing this? That's how I've interpreted at least a bunch of the stuff that I've read of this so far. As I've said, I haven't read the whole, there it is, 53 pages yet, but I've read nearly 30 pages of it so far. And it seems to be pretty similar. So I think a lot of people initially, I don't know if I heard much about David McBride, but I think a lot of people initially, from what I understand, felt that he was the source of trying to call out all these investigations and that they needed to take place. I think indirectly, he's likely assisted that, whether he realizes that or not, I don't know. But I think he's likely assisted that through the hundreds of pages of secret documents that he obtained. I think it's something like 235 documents and 209 of which were classified secret. Secret or top secret? At least secret. And then others had varying levels of those 4 categories. So anyway, So in accordance with, I believe there was an absence of the reasonable suspicion. So he's saying to me, there wasn't, reasonable cause or suspicion in this case for an investigation, a criminal investigation to be commenced or started. Then he's got point A, 3rd of October, 10, shooting death of detainee. And this is one of those ones I think where I was talking about where soldier reports the guy then started trying to wrestle him for it. He retained his weapon and then dropped the guy, from what I've read in here. Part B, 28th Feb 13, helicopter fire support, CIVCAS. I'm interpreting that as civilian casualties. 28th April 13, SSE incident, sensitive site exploitation is how I'm interpreting that. Just based on other stuff that I've heard and acronyms and stuff and other reactions. 23rd of September 17, shooting death of PRC detainee. I don't know what PRC is. I didn't bother looking that up. But yeah, anyway, shooting death of PRC detainee. And 26th September 13th, 2013, sorry, CIVCAS again, civilian casualties. So the reference to reference A was to the Public Interest Disclosure, so that PID Act. The reference to reference B was to a defence instruction entitled Management and Reporting of Notifiable Incidents. Although the summary suggested that the submission was a narrowly focused legal contention, the terms of the balance of the document suggest that it reflected broader concerns. So that's what I mean by when I think through David McBride wanting to, I guess, stop things from happening or stop investigations from happening, to me, seems like he just opened a big can of worms, like went outside his remit, so to speak, went and spoke with a whole bunch of people, journalists that he shouldn't have, basically downloaded, printed, stole a whole bunch of classified documents, secret documents, up to top secret, kept them at his home, and then started distributing them. He even had a website up called the Ops Room where he had posted some stuff. I didn't know about any of that either. Anyway, in addition to the summary, the submission contained 8 parts, A to H, and a conclusion. They were headed as follows: the gradual growth of bias against SOTG by Headquarters Joint Operations Center, Legal, or Joint Operations Command, maybe. JOC, Joint Operations Center, maybe, not command. It would usually be COMD. Legal, so whether that means, I don't know, whether it's talking about the legal team, whether it's talking about military police or military and or civil. Not 100% sure on that one, but the gradual growth of bias against SOT. Incident, 23rd September 2013, then the conclusion. So let's have a look at some of this stuff, because in line with that little, when I received this, the summary that I read out earlier, I think it's section 66, but we're in 64. Section A dealt with the ROE amplification. This was characterized as taking the ADF backwards and reinforcing unrealistic expectations of ADF soldiers during the course of a firefight. The justification for the ROE amp was characterized as spurious. Spurious, I did look that up, and I think it means not as it seems, or false or fake. So that just seems interesting to me. The justification for the ROE amp was characterized as false or fake when it says characterized as spurious. The criticism was that the ADF was placing unnecessary risk on the lives of their own soldiers in order to avoid any public embarrassment. Was placing unnecessary risk on the lives of their own soldiers in order to avoid any public embarrassment. Maybe, I don't know if that's part of, a thought that comes to mind is when Wales and them, Mark Wales, check out his channel if you haven't already, has spoken about the directive that they received from the Afghan government at the time that Australian Special Forces were to cease all nighttime operations. UK SF were like, no, bugger that, we're carrying on operating at night, like we own the night. Australians, in accordance with Afghan government as directed through the Australian government to the forces on the ground, had one of their main advantages taken away from them to appease, I guess, the government at the time. And that may have been, well, no, I don't know if that was because of the apparent hands that got chopped off for identification to see if they were the actual bomb makers that they had been targeting in that area, etc., etc. Could have been, but I don't know. Anyway, unnecessary risks on the lives of their own soldiers in order to avoid any public embarrassment. The ROE AMP was promulgated, shared around, I reckon, on the 29th of April 2013, and the submission indicated that there could have been better training on the existing ROE. I don't know, like that seems to me like that's something in hindsight. Like if this ROE AMP or amplification is to do with 429 alpha, and then in hindsight look back and go, oh, there could have been better training on the existing ROE, that just seems stupid and weak, and like that feels to me like they're avoiding what has been issued and what has been given and what the lads on the ground have gone out and implemented. Anyway, I could be wrong though on the ROE AMP if they're not talking about the 429 alpha. Section B asserted that in early 2013, a change occurred so that where civilians were killed, the deaths were automatically investigated as possible murders, even if there was no suspicion that a crime had been committed. Wow. I just, like, that hits again just as I read that, even the first time that I read that today as I was going through this. Section B asserted that in early 2013, a change occurred so that where civilians were killed, where civilians were killed, the deaths were automatically investigated as possible murders even if there was no suspicion that a crime had been committed. That part, even if there was no suspicion, but to where I can understand, like if you've got civilians that have been killed, yeah, like I personally don't see an issue with those being investigated. The deaths were automatically investigated, yeah, so that part, as possible murders, even if there was no suspicion that a crime had been committed. Well, I think that probably just makes it easier even if there's no suspicion that a crime had been committed. Like as an example, the thought that comes to mind as I read this and as I've been thinking about it, as I've been going through and reading it, the thought that comes to mind is Major John McNutt, ex-NZSAS. He was overseas at the time. I think he may have been in Kuwait. Don't quote me on that. But American forces, him along with some other American soldiers, were at an observation point to watch, I guess, a fast jet come in and drop some bombs onto targets. The aircraft dropped the bombs onto the observation area where Major John McNutt, ex-Kiwi NZSAS, rest in peace to that fella, and rest in peace to the other American soldiers that were there with him at the observation post, all got killed. Like that, accidental, I like to think. I'm pretty sure the fighter jet upstairs didn't go, oh, there goes my mates from the US military and coalition forces there. I'm going to drop a bomb there on them. I have no idea what the results are of that investigation and or what happened, etc. But as I look at this, and as I try to link the two, I assume there would have been an investigation into that. Automatically investigated as possible murders, even if there was no suspicion that a crime had been committed. That would warrant an investigation, and likely it did have one. So, yeah, I don't know if that makes sense. I'm making sense in my own head, but maybe not for anybody else that's listening to me. So I actually don't have an issue with investigations happening into, whereby tragically non-combatants, let's call them, have been killed. And we know that there have been situations where that did happen in Afghanistan by one Andrew Wasty, with regards to, I think, what we might read in here soon. So Section C related to an incident on 28th of February 2013 when a number of civilians were killed by mistake. There were two groups which matched the description of two boys with donkeys/farm animals. The wrong group was targeted and civilians were killed. The submission contended that there was no basis for an investigation of the war crime of murder because there was nothing to suggest that the boys were deliberately targeted with the knowledge that they were not insurgents. Despite this, the submission records that a decision was made to conduct an investigation into the war crime of murder. So to me, that sounds like an investigation was done into this. I understand the part that I just read because there was nothing to suggest that the boys, you'd like to think, that operators aren't deliberately targeting young boys with donkeys or farm animals to be taken out. And it's got here, because there was nothing to suggest that the boys were deliberately targeted with the knowledge that they were not insurgents. So that part makes sense. Despite this, the submission records that a decision was made to conduct an investigation into the war crime of murder. Now, I don't know if this is one of the ones that has been spoken about in regards to Andrew Wastie. But here, as I read this now, despite this, the submission records that a decision was made to conduct an investigation into the war crime of murder. So as I read this, it sounds like there has been an investigation into this. That's how I'm reading it anyway. That's how I'm interpreting it. Section D, related to an incident. Oh, sorry, let me have a look over here. Bloody hell, 9 new messages. Sorry, cuzzies. Spinning wheel of death. Yeah, Dan Kid. Kia ora, brother. Manila Butcher. What do the Aussie put on the Barbie? Is that like the Father's Day question? Jeffrey Dawson. Ken. What's this? Loafs 1352 just joined. What's getting looked at here? Hang on. 3 nuts. New Zealand. Can you please take back Mr. Ed? He's talking about Jacinda Ardern. If he's there you go. The talking horse number 6. Ahern, please. So that he's talking about Jacinda Ardern. Where are we? Civilians. Oh, bloody hell. No, thing just scrolled up. Civilians hate it when ex-military normal workers can actually deep dive into info. I have sued so many people. Good on you. Sue those buggers. Where are we? Where am I up to? Sorry, the thing keeps scrolling up, so I can't see, or not can't see, miss out on where I'm up to. I've sued so many people. Is there any video where you tell us your experience of selection apart from Search for Warriors reaction? Is that police be tripping? I think I've been asked that, unless maybe it was you. I think somebody put in when I asked for feedback, saying that they haven't actually seen a video of me talking personally about my experience on selection. So I've added that as in the list of personal content to do, because I was sitting back thinking, yeah, actually, I don't think I have done one of those. So I will do one. I will do one for my time on NZ and the Australian selection. Is there any video where you tell us your experience? So yeah, I'll try and do a deeper dive into that from a personal perspective of what I recall I may have been feeling or going through. Jeffrey Dawson. So we kiss the king's backside. The higher you get, the smellier it gets. Anyway, so I think I got to those. Apologies for missing those. The person that asked, what are we looking at here? I'm looking at David McBride's, I guess, sentencing notes, part of it. Maybe that's not the right term for it, but it's got information and stuff in here, and it's got the results of his sentencing in it. So that's the title I'm sticking with, his sentencing notes. And then I'll be looking at another Victoria Cross request. I'm going to read it out to you. Anybody that might still be on here. What's our time? What is the time? Oh, yeah, 8:23. And then I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. Does it sound like somebody that deserves a Victoria Cross to you? And just either put a thumbs up or put VC in the comments as I get to it. But anyway, it's not in this document. It's in another one that I just received this evening. So anyway, and the guy that it's about, I know him. We were in the same selection and cycle. We went to the same squadron, and I rate him. He's an awesome guy. Won't drop his name here, but it is publicly available on the Australian Honours piece, and that was where the person who was kind enough to send it to me said, you might be interested in this, bro. So they either know that I know the person, and I went back to them, just thanked them straight. I was like, holy heck, I know this guy, blah, 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 what I just shared. And I was like, this is awesome. Anyway, I haven't finished reading it, much like I hadn't finished reading this, but that's because I only just received it not long before this live was scheduled. Anyway, where are we up to? Section D related to an incident on 26 September. A child was killed when a bullet went through the body of like all this stuff I didn't know either, went through the body of an armed individual and into an unseen sleeping child behind him during a night engagement. The submission contended that the circumstances did not give rise to a suspicion of a crime that would warrant an investigation. A sensitive incident was not synonymous with a suspicious one. The submission contended, yeah, that makes sense to me. Sensitive incident, tragic that something like that has happened. You got an armed fighter there, combatant. The soldier has looked to engage that person. The bullet has gone through that person. I assume, obviously, taking them out, but it's also tragically killed a child in the background as I read this. The submission contended that the appropriate method to investigate the incident was an administrative inquiry. Until some suspicious piece of evidence emerged, the submission pointed out that ultimately the experienced inquiry team cleared the soldiers. Section E related to an incident, 20th of April 2013. This was an incident where one or more of the submission was ambiguous. Dead insurgents, hands were removed. So this was one of Hasty's ones. I don't know that Hasty was on the ground when this happened, so I can't speak with any sort of authenticity. From what I understand and from what I think I've heard, is that Andrew Wasty wasn't on the ground when this happened and didn't give the order for the hands to be lopped off so that they could try to positively ID them through fingerprinting methods, because they couldn't tell who was who in that particular situation by the time that all the dust settled and they were going around to take photos to try to identify people. The only way that they felt that they could do that was by taking the hands so they could try to identify them. So I don't know if anybody does know. I'm not 100% sure. My understanding is that Andrew Wasty wasn't on the ground at the time when this happened, but he was the troop commander, maybe. Don't quote me on that. If somebody knows more, let me know. Hands were removed in order to identify whether any one of them was a key bomb maker. The submission indicated that this involved the failure to distinguish between an incident which was sensitive and one which was suspicious. The section on this incident was lengthy. It contended that the soldier's actions were justified by military necessity and that the soldier had received a lecture from the Australian Defence Force Investigative Service member who had given him the impression that removing the whole hand was best practice to ensure accurate identification. Okay, so if somebody from the Australian Defence Force Investigative Service team is giving the impression that removing the whole hand is best practice to ensure accurate identification, I could understand why those operators went, okay, well, we can't identify these people any other way. Yep, let's do that then. You know what I mean? I don't think it's on anybody's radar. I'd like to think it's not on anybody's radar to go, oh, like I can take a photo, we can identify this person, dust off the face, take the photos, it's nice and clear, send those back. Yep, that's the person. No, that's not the person, blah, blah, blah. Versus, oh, we can identify the person, but just for fun, let's chop off their hands just because. Like, I don't know that is something that would go through the operators' heads. I don't think anyway. But as people know, and as I've mentioned, I'm biased on that. Like, I just don't think that's the logical approach if you've got clear identification that you can take the photo of the person to match whatever the database and stuff is. But seeing as they couldn't do that, they were led to believe that that was probably the ideal way of doing it. Lop off the hands and then use those. Where are we? Read that. Accurate identification. The submission criticized the commencement of a disciplinary investigation in circumstances where the action had been investigated and no administrative action had been recommended. It criticized the finding of the administrative inquiry that the officer in question had exercised poor judgment. So that sounds to me like it's criticizing those that have gone and done an investigation, I guess. And so much so to the point that they're criticizing the finding of the administrative inquiry, suggesting that the officer in question had exercised poor judgment. So to me, that sounds like a lifeline to old Wastebag. Anyway, by failing to appreciate potential responses from the Australian public and media, the submission criticised the lack of support from the Minister of Defence, well, we all know about that stuff, and the Chief of Defence Force when, on 30th of August 2013, the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, those twats, airing BS constantly, reported on the incident. It criticised the proposition that special forces should have to consider what the Australian media might think of their actions during combat. Bloody hell. Finally, the submission contended that if there was a failure, it was a failure by the Army to train the officer properly if the practice was so abhorrent. It noted that there was no criticism of the Army at all in the documentation. So again, like, I think this is going to be one of the points that will just stay and be present constantly. And if it isn't, it should. The fact that there are higher levels that need to be looked at, should be investigated. Their home, like if it's good enough to go and raid the homes of frontline troops and interrogate them with no support person, have laminated photos and stuff laid down in front of them, surely it's good enough to raid the homes of these senior leaders. Turn that off. 8:30. Holy heck! I don't want it to be another 3.5 hour one. But anyway, yeah, you've read that there, or I've read that there. Section F introduced the investigations of incidents that occurred on 3rd of October 2010 and 2013. These were both cases in which an ADF member was momentarily alone in a room with a suspected insurgent. So there's one of those ones that I was talking about earlier, but I probably didn't explain it very well. In both cases, ADF members said that the suspected insurgent made an attempt to attack him, the door, and the second by trying to wrestle control of the member's slung weapon while his handcuffs were removed. In both cases, the suspected insurgent was shot and killed. In either case, was there a motive for the member to shoot the insurgent in cold blood? So by motive, I would assume that they mean they haven't been in contact with these people. He hasn't seen, the operator hasn't seen that particular insurgent who has since been killed, hasn't seen him drop or shoot or kill any of his mates, that hasn't wounded anybody or at him. So no direct motive or emotions built up based on just being in a fight with this person. It sounds like, from what I'm reading here, that the person is acting in defense of themselves. The suspected insurgent was shot and killed. In either case, was there a motive for the member to shoot the insurgent in cold blood? In both cases, their commanders were said not to have doubted the soldier's version of events. So their term commanders can be vague. So by commanders, does that mean officer commander? Or does that mean corporal commander, sergeant commander, captain troop commander, OC, major commander, SSM? Like, commander is, to me, as I read that, seems like a very vague term and just sort of easy to understand. Person in charge, supervisor, if that's what you want to call it. But is that commander? What rank are they? That said, they'd be out the soldier's version of events. Anyway, Section G was a brief description relating to the incident on the 3rd of October. It referred to a brief from the Chief Joint Operations, Chief of Defence Force, which recorded his satisfaction that the Special Forces soldier acted in accordance with his ROE. So recorded with satisfaction, and that the lethal force was applied in a lawful exercise of self-defense for these incidents here. Like, I'm not saying that these are the ones that RS is with. What I'm talking about is David McBride's attempts to hold ship to account, him saying, from what I've read in this document, the parts up to the parts so far, and how I feel like him doing that, which is, he should have followed due process, but he went outside of that when I guess when he felt like he wasn't getting the results or the follow-up that he was after. And those boundaries, and then through indirect, like I said, opened up this can of worms. Yeah, whether he realizes that or not, I don't know, but that's my interpretation of what I've read so far. Notwithstanding that, the head of the Australian Defence Force Investigative Services directed an investigation. So notwithstanding all of that the Chief of Defence Force, Chief Joint Operations, and Chief of Defence Force recorded that they were satisfied and that the soldier acted in accordance with ROEs. Notwithstanding that, the head of the Australian Defence Force Investigative Service directed an investigation. Did that, but we to do an investigation anyway. So who has superiority and who just says, yeah, so clearly the Australian Defence Force Investigative Service have the power to yep, righto, we anyway. What I've been talking about for a while, there has to have been, if there were suspicions of these types of behaviors happening, higher ups in the military hierarchy, even if we just okay, so we just focus on SASR, even within the SASR hierarchy, there has to be higher ranks than trooper and corporal that know. What's this? Couldn't connect. Check your internet.